there's a few factors, first and foremost. One, since COVID, right, housing has increased as far as rental rates. And now with this disaster, we're seeing an additional layer of increasing. But the average cost of an apartment for a studio is roughly around $1,900. For a one-bedroom apartment, we're looking around $2,200. For a two-bedroom, we're at $2,700 to $2,800. For a three-bedroom, we're at $3,200 plus. When it comes to housing, it's definitely a different ballgame. It has increased a lot, the yard and garage and so forth. And typically for a two-bedroom, around $3,300 a month. For a three-bedroom, you're around $4,500 a month. And four-bedroom plus, you're close to $7,000 a month on average. We're seeing five-bedroom places go to up to $22,000 a month, which is pretty high.
One, I would say, I know, there's a lot of discourse about real estate agents and people are not really sure about our role and what we do. I would highly advise anyone who is looking for a rental, have a real estate friend in your back pocket. And if you don't know one,
Here are three.
Okay, here's three. And the reason I say that is because this is what we do. So if you have questions or concerns about a price or anything, call us and we can look it over and do some of that research that you may not be able to do. As far as the price gouging part goes and knowing whether it's too expensive or if it's listed too high, that really is going to take some industry expertise. But in a general sense, if you just do, let's say, a two-bedroom home search, just pay attention to what the averages are. And if everything is around $3,000 and you get one for $8,000, that should be like an easy way to see a red flag. Just by looking at some of those averages, there are homes that are listed that sometimes you just get this feeling and you're like, this doesn't seem right. What I did when I saw a listing that I thought was fraudulent, I drove by. One, the property was completely abandoned. It was damaged. There were no windows. So the pictures that were online didn't look anything like what I saw in person. So red flag, red flag, red flag. Sometimes when it's listed by a property owner, those are typically when you are seeing some of the fraudulent activities happening, or some scam artist is just listing a property. You're working directly through them and sending them money. Do not send any monies to these property owners. Make sure you have contracts in hand. If you see a listing that says 4 months rent due at signing, red flag, because we wouldn't ask for that. And that's not an industry standard. So things like that seem a little outlandish, people are banking on your desperation because you need a place. But if you see something that looks like a red flag, call an agent and just ask for us to help look into that. Because there are things we can do, like we have title representatives who can actually look up property information to see if the person who says they're the property owner is the person who listed. So there's different things we have the authority and the ability to do because we are industry experts.
Definitely have an expert to help you. I think most agents, especially us, I believe we do it at no cost to help you. And whenever there's a big disaster, those predators, they rise up and now they're even more than ever. So I do want to say that be careful.
If you can't work with an agent, a lot of title companies are offering free or discounted services. So you might be able to contact a title company for a little help too. But highly recommend just get an agent to help you with that. So we will do it.
Sadly, there are many bad apples in all industries. So they will represent as if they are the listing agent for the rental. And give you an application, they'll want a fee up front, either cash. Those are all red flags. Cash is definitely a red flag. Or even before you see it, a holder for you, give you a deposit. Those are all red flags. For one, if they're on Zillow, it does not mean it's a valid listing. If it's on the MLS, which is different, then it is valid because you have to be licensed to publish on the MLS. If it's an agent who's saying this is my listing, house for sale, someone they know knows that it has a combo lock, not a super lock. And the combo you can pass around. They'll say, hey, this is a house that I'm listing. They'll go with you, tour the property with you as if they're the listing agent on the property. Open up the combo. It won't record the listing agent's name and information. There's a combination. And they'll go and they'll score you, and they'll have you fill an application, get all the information, take a deposit, and you can actually move in. They'll give you a key from the lockbox. So you can actually move in. And within a couple of days, people on your doors, trespassing, cops come, the Lord deal. Sadly, it's happening a lot. So verifying, having an expert, again, no cost just to help you, make sure you do that. So red flags are too good to be true. It doesn't give me money up front. Or, hey, I'm out of the country. Hey, I'm out of state. Just send me a wire. Those are all some big red flags.
The organization that I started is one organization. It's not the only one. It's an example of many that are helping specifically locate, procure, and pay for long-term temporary housing for homeowners who have lost their homes, who want to remain in or around the community while they rebuild, to increase the likelihood that they will stay and rebuild. And so we're offering subsidized rent for people for up to 1 year or $40,000 to help cover the cost of housing, recognizing that everyone's specific experience is so unique and diverse, and sometimes insurance pays directly, sometimes they'll have to pay, the landlord directly. Sometimes people have adequate loss of use, sometimes people don't have adequate loss of use insurance. And so we're one organization that's really helping financially to stand in that gap and subsidize rent for people who may not income qualify for market rents at this point. It's called Green Line Housing Foundation. We're primarily serving homeowners in minority communities, so our Black and Hispanic brothers and sisters. Homeowners, 90% of our services, resources go to homeowners and 10% go to renters, so we are also helping renters. I believe Section 8 housing is also offering vouchers for people affected by the Eaton Fire so that they can find long-term temporary housing as well. So they're offering, which is a subsidy as well, essentially. I'm with Day One. We have a resource guide available. We have a home directory available. So we have volunteers that are literally calling apartment owners, buildings, property management companies, and we are getting incentives for our residents who've been displaced. So we have a whole database of that we're updating daily of incentives that are available. So these would be, let's say, maybe someone is going to really waive the security deposit, or they might waive first month's rent, or they'll waive application fees, or they might do whatever incentive they're offering. So all of that is listed on our database. Our renters and our homeowners are so overwhelmed dealing with all of this to now have to sit in okay, now let me try to find all of the housing assistance options available. It's too overwhelming and it's too much. And so what we're trying to do is fill that gap. So our database also is including all of the rental assistance options that are available. We're connecting with partners who are also offering that help to cover first and last month's rent. We're trying to find funding as well to do similar to pass it on to Jasmin so that she can continue to do the work of subsidizing a year's worth of rent. Because something that we see too is our homeowners are now having to pay mortgages and rent. We have an intake form where people can indicate the type of help they need. And once you have a conversation with us and let us know how much you need, what you need, we go and find the resources. So a good example of that is we had some people here today who need help with rental assistance, had a conversation with Jasmin, and we're going to connect those needs. So it's about getting the information, finding out what the needs are, and then we're doing whatever we can.
I know that there are 211 LA has grants. LA County has a grant. If they're offering $6,000 to $18,000, depending on the needs. Also, I want to say the first part of the question was we're dealing with those that are price gouging. LA Fires at dre.ca.gov. LA Fires at dre.ca.gov. If any agents, homeowner, people that that are price gouging, that's increasing the price by 10% or more, the DRE will go after them. They're going to investigate every single issue going on now. It's competitive. Okay, so it's like applying for a job, man. When I see a well put together application, it definitely gets set up. Have all your documents in order. I personally would have a nice letter to whoever homeowner, who you are, what's happening in your life. Some are taboo towards that, but I think in this situation, it's important to become personal. Have all your documents, your paycheck stubs, your W-2s if needed, your tax returns. Be extra, above and beyond. A lot of our homeowners that we're dealing with now, we're talking to certain homeowners currently as far as for leases and for purchases. But more so on the leasing side, they don't care, sadly, if the insurance pays the bill. Because California is really tenant-sided when it comes to these moratoriums. They want to have somebody responsible because the owner cannot go after the insurance, they only go after the person that's responsible.
That's how I help my renter clients. We always do first things first, we build your application. There's no delays when you come across a property, because obviously right now, something gets listed and then they're getting like hundreds of phone calls within a few hours. So I would recommend, even if your insurance is helping you pay, do this anyway, so that you can support your application.
And for homeowners who are maybe looking to rent too, a letter of good standing from a mortgage company could go a long way, included in that package if you want rented for a long time, because you've been paying. There's a very easy intake form. Look, I know that people affected are so fatigued, right? Application fatigue and paperwork fatigued. Like I feel that, right? So I can appreciate that, but that gets all of your information in basically so that we can just connect you with what we've got, because ours is for the long haul as well. So we're actually offering assistance to help rebuild the actual structure as well. So that's probably a long-term phase, but we need to get you in the system first, right? So we can start ascertaining what the needs are and what the cost will be to meet those needs.
Be flexible as far as moving and move out. Most of the time they want a long-term lease, more than 1 year, 2 years, 2 years. And also be willing to say, hey, I'm willing to offer you $200 extra a month for the house. Hopefully your insurance will cover that. But at this moment, in this stage, you have to be above the rest.